First seen in 2011 on the feet of Gentry Humphrey during a Soul Collector and Penny Hardaway event. Then releasing in 2012, causing f***ing pandemonium.
People stormed the front doors of the Florida Mall.
The Galaxies are back. This will be fun. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on the 2025 edition of the Nike Air Foamposite 1 in what is known as the Galaxy colorway. Now, first things first, like I was saying before, the shoe itself released in 2012. It was part of the All-Star Game experience. There was the All-Star Game in Florida that year. The entire sneaker sphere was releasing space-themed drops, and Nike being the biggest one, especially at the time. They had so many of these things. There was not just the Galaxies, but there was like the Air Flight 1, another Penny Hardaway shoe, or at least one that's most known for being his shoe. There was the big signature athletes like KD, Kobe, and LeBron. Again, all of which had Galaxy themed sneakers, but none of which caused as much chaos as the Foamposite.
Orange County Sheriff's deputies say it all started with an initial rush last night. About 1,000 people were waiting for this Foot Locker to open.
We grabbed ours from Shoe Palace. They did a small drop first. They still are going to be releasing, I think, on the 25th or something like that. Let me double check. I can't actually remember. 21st, my bad. So a lot of people are still going to be able to get their chance. I believe that they should be on sneakers. They should be at other various retailers as well. I know locally here in the Sacramento area, Phenom will be getting them. So I think that this will be a much, I don't want to call it easier, but I know that there's just a lot more pairs, okay? So like there's that. Versus the last time that these things released, and they're not just super limited, but the resale aspect of things, like, I don't want to say that this shoe caused the catalyst of like what we know as like hype and resale culture, but it sure didn't help. Now this is the box. It's a sportswear themed box, but obviously they've removed the blackout gloss Nike branding that we typically see, or that we've at least been seeing recently on select Foamposite drops, and they've inserted the Galaxy graphic onto that. I think that this is dope. This is way cooler than the original sportswear box that they came in. I don't know if you guys remember the brown Nike sportswear boxes, but they were super plain. That's what the shoe came in. This is way cooler. You know right from the jump that this is the Galaxies. It's fire, dude. Like, this is cool. And then of course there is the shoes. And yes, before I get too ahead of myself, they still come with the remove before flight patch, or tab, even though you don't just like pull it, you can undo it. Now, as far as the shoe itself is concerned, they look, I would say, almost identical to the original, minus some things. The overall shape is probably the most apparent thing that's different. This is that brand new Foamposite shape, the same shape that we saw introduced or reintroduced recently with the Royals and things like that. It's also got the softer posit material as well. Some people don't like this new shape or this newer shape. I actually kind of do. Like, these are super comfortable and they just look kind of sleek, so I like that. That is not something I could say about the original Foamposite, which they were super comfortable, but they were not sleek. They were bulky and bulbous and all that kind of stuff. So I understand being a purist and wanting the original to be exactly like it is. I get it. I'm like that with certain Jordans, but with a Foamposite, I'm just not like that. Like, I think that there's been so many different versions since '97 that it's like, whatever, dude. They look close enough. They look weird in a good way. The Galaxy print looks to be the same, but it does look more saturated on this pair, and they do have that glossy kind of like wet look to them, and they do feel a little bit wet too. Not literally wet, they just kind of feel slick. I don't know how to explain it, but like it's got like a
film?
A little bit, yeah, you know, like when they release it, but it only really is like that with colorways that have graphics on it. It's weird. I know that this is a different application process than typical Foamposite builds. I know that when they finally figured out how to apply graphics to the Foamposite, they were ecstatic and they were just pumping out foams with graphics all over the place. But yeah, it just has a different feel to it than a standard Foamposite. Outside of that, the only visible differences between these and the originals we are going to showcase via these images from Soul Retriever, where you could see that the little baby swoosh at the tip of the toe is just a little bit of a different stitch color. And then the rear heel 1 cent logos are also different, not just in color, but also size and thickness. And then the tongue logos are slightly altered as well. And you can see that that original pair is yellowed, which this pair will do eventually, but it looks super fresh right now. Now, as far as the outsole is concerned, we've got herringbone on here because this is the Foamposite 1 and not the Foamposite Pro, although the Foamposite Pro also has herringbone on it. It's just implemented slightly differently. Down there at the base, you got the 1 cent logo, arguably the best or coolest looking logo of all time, at least in my opinion. And I say this as a massive Jordan fan. The 1 cent logo is just epic. At the midfoot, we do have the large carbon fiber plate. It not only wraps around the medial and lateral side of the footbed, but it also extends throughout the heel and forefoot as well. So it's a spring plate, it's a torsional plate, it is a structural plate for, you know, lateral movements. It's a beast. And yes, the outsole is still glow in the dark. So for those of you guys that love that feature, there you go, it's still here. Now this upper is double lasted, which means that the midsole is inside of the upper itself. It gets the foot closer and more locked down onto the footbed, which is a massive performance feature. It's not featured all the time, although it kind of feels like it recently because we've been talking about it quite a bit. But it is a very cool feature nonetheless. On a shoe like this, it actually works really well, especially with the Foamposite material, at least the original, being very stiff to start. You know what I mean? Like you really had to break these things in. With this softer Foamposite material, it still works just as well, but without needing all of that break-in time. Like these are much more comfortable out of the box. Now, not only is there a full-length midsole, but on top of that full-length midsole is a full-length Zoom Air unit. Underneath that Zoom Air unit in the heel is an additional Zoom Air unit. So it's double stacked in the heel, full length everywhere else. This joint, man, these are comfortable, bro. Like this is one of the most comfortable shoes underfoot of all time. And just in case you were wondering, this is the insole. I don't think that it's anything special, but I would not classify this as a bad insole or a quote unquote piece of shit. I would say that this is pretty standard, especially if we're talking about a performance product, which is what the Foamposite was originally. And so for that, I think that this is great. The liner is very similar to the original as well. You still got that Nike Flight logo, which I think is fantastic. That is an actual Nike Flight logo, by the way. This was not created just for the space theme. Like these little wings that they've got here, that's something that they have been using. It just worked out really well. The eye stay is still synthetic nubuck, as it always should be. I know that some people love that fake leather that they do on that portion of the shoe. I'm not a fan of it. I think that this is the way that Foamposite should always look, and god damn, they're beautiful. The internal booty is exactly the same as it should be as well. It's just an open-celled mesh. The pull tabs are on both the tongue and the heel. At one point in time, these were a little bit difficult to get on. Not so much anymore, but like it was a thing. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, I say go true to size. A lot of Foamposite heads say go up half a size. I'm not one of those people. True to size and you're good to go. I'm a strong believer in getting your actual true size and actually putting in some work and breaking the shoe in the way that you're supposed to. Some people like to skip that step and go up half a size and all that stuff. So whichever it is that you are, feel free, but if you're asking me what the best sizing option is, true to size is the only way to go. Now, with all of that being said, it will be interesting to see how these do at retail. I think that they will sell through, but you never know. I thought the same thing about the Royal Foamposite one, and well, those are still available. But with all that being said, what is today's question of the day?
If you were in the Spider-Verse, which version of Spider-Man would you rather be?
What do you mean, like which character?
Yeah.
Probably just Peter.
Peter B or Peter Parker?
Okay, parameters. So
I'm gonna say it has to be, this question of the day came up when I had used quite a few Spider-Verse clips, so I'm assuming it's like from the movie.
Okay, but am I the character or am I me? That's what nobody ever specifies. Like, is it me as Peter B. Parker and his life? Or do I, like, if I choose Miles, is it me, but with Miles' powers, because his powers are different than Peter's, you know what I mean? So like, what is it?
You are them.
Like I'm
yeah.
Miles, or I'm Peter, or whatever. Well, I don't want to be the one that dies. And I don't want to be Schlubby Parker either. Even
Why?
though
He gets his life together.
I know, but that probably is me, but that's the thing. Like, but I don't want to be that one. I probably would pick Miles. Miles probably has like the best outlook on things, at least currently. We'll see how he feels after this third movie, if it ever releases. His powers aren't bad. I don't really love the electric thing. Like, I never have really liked it. I've always been like, what, why? You know what I mean? I get it, it's a spider stinger, but like, no. I do love the cloaking thing, where like you can turn invisible and shit. So I think that that's like a really great move, you know what I'm saying? So everything else is obviously the same as every other Spider-Man. Or maybe I would be Spider-Ham.
Oh yeah.
He's having a grand old time, you know what I mean? He can't die or nothing, you know what I'm saying? So, can you float through the air?
You smell a delicious pie.
But either way, what about you guys? If you could be one and you had to actually be them, play out their story throughout the Spider-Verse, which one would it be and why? On top of all of that, sound off below and let us know what you think about the Galaxy Foamposite 1 returning. Do you think that this is a good move on Nike's part, or do you think that these should have stayed limited as the original and that's it, never to be seen again? I am not that person. Bring them back out and bring them out for everybody. Jordan Brand, black and red 85s, I'm just saying. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will catch you guys in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one. And yes, we have more coming. We got lots of shoes from All Star. I didn't get all the cool stuff from the Jordan thing because I'm not waiting 300 people deep. But
I thought it was like 3,000.
oh, sorry, 3,000 deep. Sorry.
I'm just saying 300 sounds
No,
like
300 I would have been like,
chump change.
I would have been like maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but 3,000, we
You
got
have your
stuff coming.
limits.
Yeah, it might be 300. Like, that's way too many people.
But if you were Spider Ham, somebody could put a pie at the front and you could just float across the air above them.
And then the mob would get me, but I would live because I'm a cartoon.